I think we'll start the last session of today, continuing on from the previous municipal transparency topic, but taking a little bit of a more macro level. We realize that there are a number of NGOs in our countries who do similar types of transparency audits, and we wanted to learn from each other. Basically, that's the idea behind this panel. And just as a short introduction, in Hungary, probably you are most familiar with the This is the Minimum campaign that K-Monitor together with Transparency International Hungary and an investigative outlet, átláthatóság, did. And basically, I think that's the only relevant information for now. And we would like to start with Michal from Slovakia, who is joining us online.
Thank you. Hello.
Sorry, Michal Piško. And yes, I will give the floor to you.
Okay, I can start. Can I start with my presentation right now?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for having me for this opportunity. I'm really sorry that I can't be there in person because of some private reasons. But one of the reasons why I'm not there is also that we are in the final phase of presentation of or preparation of the launching the new ranking of 100 biggest public companies in Slovakia. Because we also elaborate rankings not only in municipal level, but also in some other areas, including state-owned and municipally-owned enterprises. But now I would like to share with you some experiences, some slides with from our municipal rankings. So once again, my name is Michal Piško. I'm director of Slovakian chapter of Transparency International Slovakia, and our organization has been found in 1998, and almost immediately we started to focus also on municipal level, because there were so many local activists who were alone in their regions and municipalities, and they have to struggle with some sort of authoritarian tendencies or approaches of local politicians. So we started to network them somehow, and also focused on some specific approaches on municipal level as well. So our municipal program is quite old, and it's based on 4 basic pillars. The first one is obviously watchdog, because we are a watchdog organization, so we try to disclose some cases, and to create some sort of push for better practices, and maybe to shame some wrong practices and to praise the good ones, of course. The second pillar is related with anti-corruption strategies, which is basically, we call it audit. So in our context, audit means something else, as you mentioned, because in our context, anti-corruption audit in municipality means something like very deep dive process of evaluation of shortages in specific municipalities. Usually the output of this audit is a very long document with maybe 80 or 100 pages and a very detailed description of shortages in some policies of the specific municipalities with a very specific recommendation for them. So it's something like, we call it anti-corruption audit or strategy, and we elaborated them, like dozens of them, for Slovak municipalities. Then we also, I already mentioned networking, so we also organize weekend seminars for local activists. Actually, this year it was 21st year of these workshops for local activists. So we networked like a couple of hundreds or maybe even more than 1,000 local activists across the country. And the last pillar is related with transparency rankings and measuring of transparency. And I would like to tell you a little bit more about this approach. You have also your own rankings or similar projects, so probably in many aspects it is something similar or familiar for you. But in Slovakian context, we have quite fragmented municipal level. So it is almost 3,000 municipalities in Slovakia, which is quite a lot for the country with 5.5 million people. So it is not very effective in many aspects. And of course, we are not able to evaluate transparency in each small municipality. So our ranking is focused only on 100 biggest municipalities, but roughly half of population live in these 100 biggest cities. So it's quite a relevant sample, I would say. And we also publish or evaluate the ranking of 8 Slovakian regions as well. So we have this portal which is called samosprava.transparency.sk, or municipal. It means like municipal level.transparency.sk, and you can find all these transparency rankings since 2010. We launched our first ranking in 2010, so it is quite long-term period of these rankings available online. And you can also compare the trends for specific municipalities or for the whole sample. You can compare specific cities, specific regions, and so on. In our case, we have more than 100 indicators, and they are divided to 11 categories or policies. In this very simple table, you can see the weight of individual categories. I also circled the most important ones. So the most weighted category is access to information policy. It is almost 1/4 of overall score or overall weight of the ranking. Then budgeting and public contracts is also very important, or public participation policy. And we have also quite small categories like land use planning and construction policy, or human resources, or other. As you can see in this table, there is also overall score based on the individual categories. So as you can see, the most important or the most relevant categories are on the top. So it's quite good that access to information is, or transparency score, average score of 100 municipalities in this area is quite high. It's 79% in access to information, for example. But there are some categories which are quite bad. For example, the last one, public property sales and lease policy, the average score of the sample for this category is only 38%, as you can see. So as I mentioned before, we have more than 100 indicators, and there are also some sub-indicators. So in reality, there are maybe 15,000 data points which are necessary to gather, and these data are collected from different sources. The most important one is web check, because we try to put on shoes someone ordinary citizen, and try to find important information on the website of the municipality. But we also ask some specific questions via questionnaire. We also gather some data from Central Public Procurement Portal, from City Hall Media. We also use mystery shopping, and we test some specific question related to whistleblowing, for example, and so on and so on. So in overall, we have these 100 indicators based on 5 or 6 different sources of information. What is quite good result is that we can see some sort of result behind these rankings, because usually we publish this ranking before the election. It is quite good period, because politicians are willing to promise, more improvements, and they are also willing to criticize some bad practices and to promise some changes. So as you can see, in our first transparency ranking in 2010, the overall score for 100 cities was less than 40%. Our last ranking published in 2022, before the last municipal election, was more than 63%. So it is, from overall point of view, it is quite an improvement. On the right side on the slide, you can see, it's probably small, and you can see it in detailed way, but you can check the website if you are interested in more detailed description. So you can open the specific municipality and specific category, and there are specific indicators, and there are some analytical features as well. So you can follow the trends for this specific municipality and indicators during this 6-year editions of the rankings. You can follow the distribution in the sample, how many municipalities follow the good practice in these indicators, how many municipalities follow the bad practice. You can compare two specific municipalities if you are, for example, interested only to compare your city with neighboring city. So there are also some analytical data for journalists or also for municipalities themselves, because they can find very easily some sort of inspiration from good ones, and there are also provided links for these good practices, so they can open the link, for example, and check what is the practice in the specific municipality, for example, in terms of publishing of video recordings from municipalities or MP sessions, and how do they do that, and maybe to be inspired and to follow the good practices. So basically that's it from my side, because I have only 10 minutes for this introduction, and if you have any question, I'm eager to answer, and I'm looking forward to discussion with my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, István. Yes. And thank very much the organizers for the opportunity to be here. I would like to start by commemorating the influential activist and expert on freedom of information, Helen Derbyshire, who unfortunately passed away a month and a half ago. And by remembering that she was the first one who invited me in Budapest. This was my first speech on a similar event 24 years ago, back in 2000. Just briefly about our NGO, Access to Information Program. It was established in 1996, and we are very much focused on access to public information. So we are not doing anything else. We are not doing public participation or anti-corruption or something like that, but we are helping a lot NGOs that are doing this, or journalists who are reporting on corruption or on other matters. Of course, when it is important in our work in the parliament, by analyzing laws or draft laws, advocating for better legislation or against bad legislation, we are also very much working on other pieces of law, not just on the Access to Information Act. We are just 5 people now, 3 lawyers and 2 communication officers, but we also have a network in the country, which is, our country is split in 28 regions, of which Sofia city is one. So it's 27 regions, and today we have local coordinators in 24 out of those. All of them are local journalists. So they are our direct linkage with the localities. They're volunteers, so we are able to pay them only if they publish on our newsletter or if we interest them with some specific task. So we are doing analysis and advocacy on legislation. We are doing monitoring of the implementation of the law, which was passed in 2000. And we provide legal help. So we have provided about 7,000 legal advices, consultations in this period of 24 years, and we've backed about 700 cases in administrative courts, most of which we won. So we have also published 6 books on litigation under Access to Information Act. We're doing a lot of training, public administration, but also trainings for civil society or for journalists. And we are co-founders of both the FOI Advocates Network, and we are on the steering committee. And we are also co-founders of the Right to Know Day back in 2002. It's a mistake, I'm sorry about that. It's 22 years old, and it was recognized by UNESCO in 2015 and by UN in 2019. And these are the awards. That's why I'm mentioning the day, because these are the awards we're giving, and these awards are very much related to our monitoring, as you will see. So we have 4 awards with the Golden Key, which is the positive award. It's for a journalist, for a citizen, for an NGO, and for a public body. And that's how the monitoring and the rating, the ranking we do matters. Of course, we have the negative award, the padlock, as you see it. And we have the another negative award, which is the twisted key, which is for a funny or absurd response or practice under the Access to Information Act. And of course, we are doing some other stuff like constitutional cases, amicus brief in Strasbourg. Just to give you some impression of the Access to Information situation in Bulgaria, is a country of 6.7 million people today. For last year, we have 14.5 thousand requests. Of course, many of them are by NGOs, the citizens are most. The number of electronic requests, e-requests, is increasing, of course, this is the trend. So the denials usually are no more than 4% of the requests, but of course this is very important information, very often. And also we have some cases in courts, which
sorry, could you come over here? So
sorry, yes.
For the camera.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Of course, all right. So, I'm very sorry. I picked the Cyrillic while we have also in English, so I don't know why I did it, but this just to give a visual idea of how our monitoring is going. So I went back to see, I'm working for AIP since 97, but there are many things that I don't remember, of course, and I'm a director less than 2 years. But our first monitoring survey was in 1998. Of course, it was far away of what it is today. So similarly to our colleagues in Slovakia, our first audit, a transparency audit on the proactive publication of public bodies dates since 2010 based on this methodology. And you can see on our website and the same information in English about every year. So it's public and it can be accessed on our website. What is the scope of our monitoring? It's the executive bodies and the municipalities. By the way, of course, municipalities are self-government, so they're independent from the executive, but because the mayors, like our colleague from Romania said, that the central budget is very important for the municipalities, so the mayors are implementing a lot of executive functions. on a delegation by the central government. So that's why they are formally considered also part of the executive, although they are separate. So we have this year, because every year the number of bodies shifts, because some bodies are closed, others are created. This year we have monitored 560 bodies, out of which 265 municipalities. So our number is a little bit bigger than in Slovenia. And we have also 9 independent regulatory bodies, something like Electoral Board, the Commission on Personal Data Protection, the Commission on Discrimination, the Antitrust Commission, and so on. In the last 3-4 years, we are also doing a separate monitoring of the transparency of administrative courts, but it's a separate thing. The results of our monitoring is reflected in our annual reports on the state of access to information in Bulgaria. We are every year since 2000 we are publishing this report. It's a chapter there, but we have a separate press conference to communicate the results of our monitoring. And also, as I stated before, we use the results for the jury, which decides about the positive and negative awards for the Right to Know Day. So this is the practical implementation result, and that's why public bodies in Bulgaria who know that we monitor them are very keen to implement, because they know that they can potentially fall under the good or under the bad category for the Right to Know Day. Sorry again about the Cyrillic. But very similarly to what we have seen from several examples already, here this is about these are the municipalities, and you can see the columns with their compliance. So what I wanted to say is that all our indicators are based only on clear legal obligations to publish information on the website. So it's not what someone wants to be there or thinks that should be there or something like that. So it's based on the law. Of course, we have ranking for every year, which helps to compare between municipalities. And I will tell a bit more about categories of public bodies. So we have a general ranking of all the bodies, which is not very functional because there are some differences. What the ministry should publish is sometimes different than what a municipality should publish. So this also reflects on the number of indicators which we do have, because for municipalities we have 116 indicators, while in the case of ministries and other bodies we have 94, for example. This year, last year, these were, I will repeat it because of the translation. So the question is, how are the indicators about municipalities identified? We are looking into the legal obligations, mainly under the access to information law, but we also pick up some other legal obligations under other laws when we think that the publication duty is important. Because otherwise there are hundreds of laws. That's how, but we never pick an indicator about something that is not okay. So you can rank separately municipalities, central bodies, regional governors, environmental territorial bodies, education territorial bodies, agriculture territorial bodies, health, forest territorial bodies. You see, for the central bodies, we have 94 indicators, 82 for the territorial units, and 116 for municipalities. Then, okay, these are, for example, ranking of the health regional, health territorial. Yes, this we had it. Of course, any kind of visualizations can be made. We are making a map. This is the map about municipalities, of course. Top green is good municipalities and the others are not so good. In the last 2 years, we have 2 municipalities that are nearly 100% of conformity. And of course, we use it for the right now. There you see that last year, for example, the award was got by the one municipality in Sliven, which performs for 2 years with 100%. And this year we awarded with the padlock the Sofia municipality. Although after the elections last year it was believed that it should go ahead, but unfortunately this did not happen, so we alarmed them that they should change. So there are bigger groups under which these 116 items, let's say, are grouped. The first group is indicators compliance with the obligations under the law, the Access to Information Act. Second, we have a provision which lists groups of documents that should be published. Then the content of the obligatory sections of the web pages of public bodies under the law, and then we have budgetary, financial information, and integrity. And we have something small about declassification of documents because we think it is important, and so on. And every year we also submit an electronic request to all the bodies because we want to measure how they perform with that. And that's perhaps last, yes. The team which works every year, we have 1 month for the survey because it's fixed sociologically. Then we have 1 or 2 weeks to get feedback from the bodies because we make them aware of the results so that they can comment. Some of them are competing in this period and saying, you didn't see something that we actually published. We never know whether they did, but at least there is some competition because of that. And then we have the press conference. So they know these steps, and they are very, very careful. I mean, many of them, especially municipalities, central bodies, are not the same. Then the methodology is reviewed every year, of course. We see whether an item should be added or should be dropped. Public bodies are invited, I already told that. The results are used also in trainings, of course, especially if you train a body, because sometimes different bodies ask us to train them. Like last year it was the Ministry of Justice, for example, and we are using their own results and the record of their measuring in order to give them advice. Sometimes people ask us how bodies come to us to be trained in view of the fact that we're suing them. But the fact is that there is no one better than us. So they know that. They know that it's better to use that. It's every year they expect the survey, so they're trying to be better. That's it, and I could respond to questions. Thank you.
So hello again. Now I will talk about our transparency audits. It all started a couple of years ago when we looked at the website of TI Slovakia and thought, wow, this is really cool. They are measuring transparency over quite a long time and they see progress. Let's do it too. So they were our inspiration. So we started in 2023. when we rated the 200 most populous cities in the country, and this year all regions. And we plan to carry out this rating regularly, probably always before the municipal and regional elections. This is not 100% settled yet, and I would be interested maybe in your thoughts. Would it be better to do it maybe in the middle of the mandate? Let's see. So what did we do? Or maybe let's talk about the objectives. We want to improve current transparency practices about municipalities and regions. Especially with municipalities, we have 6,253 municipalities in Czech Republic. This is quite a problem. A lot of them don't have even like 500 people, and you know, just imagine how a government is formed in very small villages, so we don't want to rate all of them, but we do give them recommendations that are applicable to all of them. So we don't only rate, we provide why we rate this question, and also how they should comply with the recommendation. So we want to allow public scrutiny by making available sufficient information, and let the citizens become watchdogs over the local governments. We also want to motivate the local governments, and I already told you that well, this was the first round of the transparency audits, so we don't have yet data to see whether they are motivated to rank better, but we hope they do. And from what their response was, it seems like they really do. We rated 5 areas, 4 areas for municipalities, and we added one this year for regions. And we will include this one as well for municipalities next time. So let's start from the top, the openness of regional governments. This is the largest area. This is the one that I showed you in last presentations in first two aspects. It's what you can find on the website of the municipality. So are there materials published on decision making, about the information on the representatives, etc. And are they available? For example, are underlying documents available to public before the council meeting happens? And yeah, for the regional newspapers and TV reports. So for municipalities, we rated only newspapers, and for regions, we rated also TV reporting. And as I talked about in Q&As of the last panel, this is a huge problem, and we rate this by doing a content analysis. So my colleagues actually go through the last editions of the newspapers, and they look at indicators such as what is the percentage of opposing voice, etc. On public procurement contracts, which is the third area that we rate, we take data from DatLab Institute, which is a private company. They have this incredible tool that gathers all the information from public registries and then makes some assumptions. So some of the indicators that they look at is how much information about contracts is published and how, and For example, if the municipalities depend on very small number of suppliers, or they somehow manage to reach out to a wider range of suppliers, or for example, I know one of the indicators is also how long does it take to administer, on average, public tender. The fourth area is whistleblowing. I already spoke about this one as well. And the last one is regional companies and contributory organizations. This area consists of two parts, let's say. One is one could be called something like personal politics. We want the top positions in those companies and contributory organizations to be led by the most competent people, and you can reach this goal by creating a centralized website with all the vacancies that are coming up, and with providing enough information about the position, so that even the skilled people that are maybe living abroad and are thinking about coming back to their hometown can take a look and have enough time to prepare and apply. The other part of the region of this area that we rated is is also what they publish on their website. So something similar as the first area. Do they publish reports every year on how well they are doing, etc. So how did we collect the data? So similarly, like TI Slovakia, most of the information we collect online on the websites of municipalities. For whistleblowing, we send out questionnaires via Freedom of Information Act, and for the municipality newspapers, we collect. We do the content analysis, so we go through the actual newspapers. The entire analysis consists of almost 90 indicators, and some of the questions are first. We use university students to analyze those questions for us. This is the first round. We explain them each of the questions, and they fill out the Excel table for us, and then they give us also a link where they found this information or didn't find. Most of the questions are binary, yes or no. Just a few of them are on a scale. Then we send we control this what the students gave us. We send the information to the municipalities for preliminary assessment. They give us comments, and then we evaluate those comments. We can change the answers and reply to the municipalities on comments like why should we do this? When I'm talking about the comments, maybe it's good to say now that 100% of what we rate is good practice. None of this is legally required. It's all just best practice. Some of it comes from, or I think like 95% of the best practices that we rate are already done by some municipalities or regions. So this is the strongest argument for us, is that somebody already does this, somebody already thought about maybe it could be good idea to disclose this information, etc. Why can't you? This is, I think, the last slide. This is a map that's interactive map that's on our website, and I think it's a really good one. You can on the right side you can click which area you want to see. Then you have all the 100 cities and regions. You can click on them and see the specific information on how they did or performed. And yeah, that's one aspect that I also wanted to show. There's like a you can also already see how well they did by the color as well. So that's for me, everything. Thank you.
Hi, again. I'm Nejc. I'm from Slovenia. Today is a new day, and I will very briefly present our transparency ranking, and I will very quickly go through the things that basically kind of I think we all did the same, and I'll try to maybe focus on some things I think we maybe did a bit differently. Local government is important. I think we all agree on that. Transparency as well. We did that. So we did our ranking, all 212 Slovenian municipalities. We also collected data in large part through the website, some legal documents, and a questionnaire. We used 8 indicators. We divided them into 5 content sets. Each municipality could get 100 points, 20 per content set. Some were yes, no, 1 point, no point. Some was no, bad, good, perfect, 0.25, yada yada, in that sense. Average number of points, around 35. If they were in school, they wouldn't do pretty good on that test. So there's quite a lot of, let's say, points where they could improve. Top-rated municipality, Ljubljana, our capital, got around 70, which is still not that good, right? We found a correlation, meaning more population, higher transparency. Higher budget, higher transparency, which I guess kind of makes sense. These municipalities probably pay more attention to their websites. They have more manpower or person power to sort of enact transparency. So this is something we sort of found out. And then I guess then kind of what was our goal, right? We went into this as so nobody did this before in Slovenia. It's the first of its kind. Unfortunately, it's still, we did it in 2022. It's still the only one. It took incredible effort for us to do this. We're hoping we'll be able to do it again next year. We're trying to find some funding just because it really took like our whole organization's work for basically 1 year to plus partners to get this done. But what we wanted to do was get the ball rolling. Nobody talked about transparency on the municipal level before this. And so we just wanted to, like I said, I guess change the mindset, remind municipalities that such things as transparency exists, remind people, citizens, that they could sort of participate and that they could tell their representatives, I want this. And so based on the scoring we got, we basically did a synthesis and we created 20 recommendations, and then we calculated and gave each of the municipalities 5 individualized recommendations from this set of 20. What are the most basic things they could very quickly change to just be more open and transparent. And so each municipality got 5 of their own individualized recommendations. And this is kind of it, but I just kind of want to go through our website, just because I think what we really sort of wanted to do is make it very interactive and very user-friendly. Just so as to, there's a Brave, I think, open. Yeah. And it's, yeah, I translated it to English. And so it's like, yeah, we did, there's like a map, and each like a ranking per points, and then you could very sort of interactively pick your municipality and then another municipality, and it would show like, you know, this one was sort of best on 6th place, this one was worst, and then kind of compare per content set where they did good, where they did bad, right? And then we did like a super, like just a very general synthesis of results, like what are, not per municipality, but just in general where municipalities did well, and the examples I already showed you with that included. So just so people could go there and sort of look at the entire state of all municipalities all together, and then you could also like click on your municipality, which let's hope I did. I think it's happening. And then, yeah, you got like this counter, points, and then you could compare with other municipalities that have a similar number of population and a similar budget. So that's another sort of level, so that you didn't compare with like a municipality that has like 20 times less people. And then each municipality got its own recommendations, and we even like put an email, like send a message, here's an email, we generated this text, so citizens could actually like just copy paste and send it to their representatives. And this part I think did very well, because as I mentioned, Slovenian people notoriously envious of their neighbors. And so we really did this campaign that focused on, you see how many points you had, go and check, go and compare. And we also sent that to all local media. We had like a press conference, and we framed it in a way where like, see, this is a score, it's very user-friendly, you get points, you can get better points next time, bug your mayor. And this had massive effect, like really it just went from national media, local media, people, and then people started bugging representatives, and then representatives started bugging us. Why didn't I get this many points? Our neighbors have this many points, and we were like, yeah, maybe, you know, do a participatory budget or something, whatever, you'll get like 3 points. And things started happening, you know, it's like some municipalities and some citizens, it was their first time that they just in their like imaginarium the words transparency or participation at a local level. And this is sort of what we wanted to achieve, a mindset shift, not like nag them with points. Points were just like a sort of fun gamified thing we did to like enact a mindset change. I guess that's sort of how we approached this. Next time our guess will be more, you know, buggy. Like, didn't you, like, the 3 years passed, maybe you could have sort of gotten like more than 1 point more or something like that. Yeah, that I guess is about it, I think.
I'll just have a few slides on our own. But I'm going to keep it really short, because I think you already said everything, and ours is smaller and less fancy, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. What I do want to say is this is the minimum. Our campaign started as a pledge campaign, so it didn't start out as a transparency audit in the beginning. So the first one happened in 2014, and the second pledge campaign, which was actually a breakthrough, happened in 2019. And only afterwards came the idea that this should be or could be measured. So first it was just a set of recommendations, pledge campaign before the elections, and then a little bit delayed because of COVID, but in 2021 we started to build our transparency audit, and the first one that went public happened in 2022, so sometimes around the middle of this municipal term. And then the second one we did, we had municipal elections this June. So we did it at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, so it would be published a few months ahead of the election. We have 6 categories, slightly differently named than with all of you, but I think the basic ideas are all there. We don't have newspapers, for example, which is uninteresting, and also we don't have public participation, at least not named as such. So I will be very curious how Michal and TI Slovakia can measure public participation. But we do have, for example, accountability, which I didn't see in many other places, which is publication of asset declarations and similar, and okay, and integrity, okay. So we only have 42 indicators. You can see the share of points that you can get. So similarly, decision-making process, contracts, and public procurements are the largest shares. But also we try to include enterprises because that's something that really bugs Hungarian people. Like how usually the municipality-owned enterprises are the black holes where the money disappears. And we only cover the 30 largest municipalities in Hungary. I mean, not even the largest. We selected 16 who were deemed signatories based on the pledge campaign. And then we selected 14 that were supposed to be like a counterfactual to kind of be able to measure them against each other. These results are in percentage of, also I should mention that some of our recommendations are based on legal requirements, most of them, but we do have a share that is best practice type or something that we believe should be published on their website. And we only check the website of the municipality and affiliated organizations like enterprises or yeah. So we don't check. We don't send freedom of information requests. We do give them some time to provide feedback, but it's not like an official FOI request. Okay, and some results. Signatories of the program did score higher in our ranking than non-signatories. However, and they did improve a little bit from 2022 to 2024, but there were only some areas where they really managed to improve. And I think some of this is, the message got through that you should publish council documents in machine-readable formats. You should publish the appendices of the budget in Excel sheets, and so on. And some municipalities started to publish the contracts themselves, but still, like, these are only a few of the most committed municipalities, so we are not very happy that even they couldn't score higher and couldn't improve more. And we even had some of these mayors here today, and you know, it's we can feel that their enthusiasm is, you know, we somehow have to keep that enthusiasm up and ask them to improve. Like there's still a lot of way to go, even to the 100%, which is still, this is why we call it, this is the minimum. And some other lessons for ourselves is that research takes significant resources, and especially the quality control when multiple people are doing. So I'm interested in the university students. How could you control the quality there if you had them scoring? And so quality control takes a lot of time. Communicating with municipalities and reevaluation. So all in all, this took around 3 to 4 months to do the whole evaluation, only for 30 municipalities. So I have no idea how you guys do it for 200, but that's why we are here. And yes, what we did get as positive feedback is municipalities do appreciate the competition. So that's one way to keep their interest. And I'm sure some other ideas will come up, but I would rather invite you all back and start the discussion then. So thank you. Okay. I don't know if somebody else wants to start asking questions, or should I be the one, or any? Already, okay. Well, I'm gonna start with Judith because.
Hello, I'm Judith Zagnál. I'm from Transparency International Hungary. Hello, Michal. Question basically to all of you who included local newspapers and TV channels in your analysis. How did you, or I don't know if whether you achieved being objective in your content analysis. So what are the sort of criteria you used? How did you ensure sort of comparability of results? Like, so this is something interesting we are also actually pondering right now.
Okay, so I don't know if I should start. I'm not sure if we are the only one, or I don't think so, but I will answer. I did not do the analysis, so I will not give you the full answer, but I can send you a proper link where you will see all the indicators. As I said, one thing was the opposition voice presence in a set newspaper. The other would be maybe a presence of opposition representative in the editorial board of the municipal newspaper. And regarding TVs, I think this would be similar. I know in the past, but not in this project, we also checked the contracts because there were some clauses that basically like clauses that made the the representatives able to influence the the news in the TV because they would get to see the reporting before it airs and stop it, etc. So in the past we filed some submissions with the authority that these are not legal, but I'm maybe detouring from the topic. Yeah.
So Michal asked what the question was. Can you hear me, Michal? We cannot hear you now, but Michal, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I can hear you, but unfortunately I couldn't hear the question from the audience.
Yeah, so the question was, how do you have objective criteria measuring newspaper and TV transparency and objectivity? And I don't know if TI Slovakia has this or not, but the question was from TI Hungary, so... We have also different projects related with quality and trustworthiness of City Hall media, and this project is something like sub-indicator for the ranking as well. So before the ranking of municipalities, we also always publish also the ranking of trustworthiness of City Hall media, and based on these results. We also include these results to the transparency ranking of municipalities, because in Slovakia it is similar with Czech Republic because they have similar project. The city hall
city halls provide their own city hall media, and they are very, very often misused for public relation, permanent public relation for public money from the perspective of mayor or other MPs. So we focus in this transparency ranking only on this city hall media and their objectivity level and trustworthiness. But in our regional ranking, we have also some indicators related with social networks as well, because it is also quite new area for influencing of citizens and misusing of public money or some advantages related with the position. We have only 8 regions, so it is easier also to evaluate social networks, you know. But in 100 municipalities, it is not very easy, because if we have to check 100 Facebook pages of 100 biggest municipalities, it would be very time consuming.
I will ask one more question to you, which is probably similar. How do you analyze public participation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, you know, we have 11 categories, but they are not clear. Some of these categories are somehow mixed up, you know, so there are no clear borders between the categories. So some of our indicators which are included in this category of public participation policy are also about transparency, you know, and access to information, not purely about public participation. So but the majority of these indicators in this category are focusing on participation of public on municipal or MP sessions, you know. So, for example, if may the public be given a word during the parliamentary session to any point of the program without any necessity to vote for this intervention from the MP's perspective. Because in majority of Slovakian municipalities, if someone from the public wants to speak publicly during the session, it has to be approved by the MPs, you know, and it is not very good practice, because citizens have in many cases very good points and arguments related with the program. But if they are not allowed to speak, you know, during the session, and there is only maybe one specific point of the program at the end of the program, it is useless, because the agenda is already done, and then citizens can't influence the program or specific point of the program. So we focus on this, how easy is to participate from the public citizens on parliamentary session, but we also evaluate some indicators related with participatory budgeting, how are people influenced in a decision about the budget of the municipalities, or if there are some online tools for their compliance, for example. So we have like 14 indicators related with this category, and the majority of these indicators are related with possibilities how can people influence the decision making on municipal level.
Participatory budgeting obviously is a big indicator for us. And then we also included, is there like a form on the website where citizens can leave comments? Are these comments then published on the website? Are they answered, or are they implemented? And does this implementation show then again on the website? We took this into account, this changed points. So basically, this basically direct web communication, and then just how far it goes is something we also took into account, besides the things that were already mentioned.
I just wanted, yeah. Well, because we have 3 questions here, I think, you want. Yeah, starting from the last. We don't measure public participation, but we measure budgeting. So if draft budgets are published, and if records of the meetings to discuss the budget are published, then we score that. Objectivity and comparability of the monitoring, we stick to the same number of indicators, and we change very exceptionally if there is a legislative change, for example. Like public procurement now is in one register, so we don't measure different websites for that. And also we give one score for one indicator. Very exceptionally, for a very few, we give half a score. Half, yeah. On the TV and the so-called state and municipal advertisement. I don't know how we can catch this by monitoring, but it's a very tough issue, I think, everywhere. And in Bulgaria, it's done usually by requests by investigative journalists. But the main problem is that very often there are no contracts at all. So you don't have documents to access because it's just on direct assignment let's publish, let's just invoice that. So you should ask for invoices, not for contracts. And also, in a very big number of cases, there are mediatory companies, and everything disappears there. So it's really a very big issue.
I think it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm Petra Eszkötő from the Budapest Institute, and I'm here standing sharing your experience with this sissy-fussy work because I have done myself similar things. And one quick comment and then one question. My comment comes here. We had made and prepared an index, transparency index for municipality-owned enterprises, and actually I put a lot of effort into running and organizing workshops for CEOs of these enterprises. And basically my experience was that, but Nejc, you mentioned that this type, I call it yardstick competition, like they, benchmark with each others. It works very well and very effectively. You just have to have amazing patience and time to facilitate this and do this. So I just wanted to encourage you to run this track. Because it works. Okay, question. And this comes back to the municipality level. I did a partnership with a corruption research center from Budapest, and we did a municipality transparency index back long ago for Hungary, and it covered in 2018, it covered 30-something municipalities. And what I was interested, not just these rankings, which we know work, but also I was wondering why one performed better than the other. And now I see that you have also high variation in these indexes. We had a high variation too in Hungary. And so we ran some quick regressions, and it turned out that larger cities with more capacity and human resources tend to perform better. Cities with a freshly elected mayor tend to perform better. So my question comes here, that also to Michal perhaps, because you have the most robust and consistent measuring, and perhaps to Sasho. Did you analyze what are the characteristics of the municipalities which might correlate, with this type of performance? Because there are some. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it systematically for Hungary, but I would be interested in your results.
Michal, did you hear the question, or should we?
Yeah, hopefully I got it. So we also tried to measure or to analyze the results according to type of municipalities, and it is also the same with the companies. Because of course, obviously, it is easier for public companies or for municipalities which are bigger to be more transparent, because they have bigger budgets, they have more employees, they have more developed websites. So it's quite comprehensible and quite logic. But at the same time, we can see in all rankings, municipal ones and public companies as well, that there are also very small companies or municipalities which are also on the top of the ranking, because it depends also on approach of the managers or mayors, And if someone is really highly motivated to promote transparency and to elaborate some transparency measures, they can do that without any problems, and also with very small budgets or very limited amount of of employees. Also, our municipal transparency ranking won the municipality with less than 20,000 inhabitants, you know, and Bratislava is the biggest city in Slovakia, is approximately 30th in the ranking. So I would say that the most important and crucial aspect is not how big is the municipality or what is the budget or amount of or number of employees, but the internal motivation of the mayors or managers of public companies to be transparent and to have it as some sort of priority.
All right, thank you. Very good question. By the way, it's a question about analysis because we all have the results, but also it's different perhaps from context to context, because I would say that in our case it's similar, it's closer to Slovakia than to Slovenia. Because, for example, if we take top 4 or 5 cities, they're not on the top positions in the last 5 years, let's say. The first 3 in the last 2-3 ranges, 2-3 years, are one of them is a regional city, but not in the top 5 biggest. The 2 other are actually, one of them is medium-sized municipality of Bansko, which is a very developed resort, and the third one is a small municipality. So I also agree that political leadership is very important, and it's not dependent on the political parties very often, but on the individualities. But which is more important than political leadership is the stability of public administration working on the law and the laws on transparency and access to information. Because we have observed that where we have civil servants working to implement the law, being there for 15, 20 years, then in these municipalities, it's much better performance than in others. Of course, there is a need for synergy between the civil service and the political leadership. And in these tops, in these pots where there is such a synergy, things are better.
Yeah, just very quickly. Yeah, like I said, we noticed a very high correlation between population and budget and transparency. But I guess this is not in the official findings, but just like going through the motions, you see like if there's a municipality that has like 300 inhabitants, their municipal council sessions, everybody in that town knows each other, right? It's more of a like friend get together, you know, they get there, they sit down, they talk, oh, we're gonna do this, everybody votes for it, then they go home, right? It's not in their culture to think about, you know, recording sessions or making like transcripts and stuff like that. It's not something they think about. And so that's also, I guess, a part of it, I think. It's just, again, coming back to it, I guess changing the mindset, just coming to these people and telling them that maybe there's people in the municipality that would like to know what's going on if they had the chance, or if they even knew about that it's possible, you know. So yeah, I guess this is also one thing we found. Smaller municipalities, it might not be just a budget thing, it might also be like a culture thing, I think.
Sorry? Yeah.
It's about transparentization of the budgets, we don't have much experience, but we've been into it several times, and it is my experience that sometimes opacity can be generated through an excess of information. So it's like what you showed before, when they throw into your head basically everything. the budget in technical forms, and then all the spendings actually, all the small recipes, invoices. There was a municipality in Romania, they put online about 1 tera of data, 150,000 invoices in PDF format, you know, like they scanned them with that name coming out from the scanner for every document. I mean, that's not transparency. So, but formally they comply with the law because we create legal obligations and they want to comply. And my question is, can we actually force them to do it in a relevant way, also for public discussions with citizens, for budget for citizens, to take category of expenditure and calculate unitary cost or per capita of kid training in schools, when I went to ask a mayor, how much you spend per capita of kid in public schools, 1 to 4? I said, I have no idea. We never use this number. So if we could do that, it would be good for them actually, and it would be good to have discussions on the budget when they discuss the budget, which is public. People can come there. It will be much more relevant to discuss. We increase 3%, for social assistance per capita or of categories of assistance. What is your experience in your countries? I mean, do they do this in Sofia municipality or elsewhere, or in Bansko, or can we create obligations to disclose in the relevant format so that ordinary citizens understand something, or is just checking boxes, we put everything online and it's fine?
Well, thank you very much. I think these are two different questions, however, because we've several times touched upon the question of the formats, but the machine-readable formats do have nothing to do with being friendly to the people. So the answers are two different. If we talk about the citizens' budget, indeed what is needed here is a very strong legal obligation. Because in the Bulgarian law, there is not a strong legal obligation on that. It's just an option. And we have observed that this option is very, very tiny dealt with. So in some of our last surveys, there were only 16 public bodies out of 560, 70. Which have published citizens' budget. And in the last years, because also of the political crisis, I think this is decreasing. So we need definitely a stronger legal obligation. It's very, very important, especially when we talk about budgets. Yeah, it is, but it is possible, as we do see. While on the other hand, when we talk about machine-readable formats, we have a separate obligation under the law, which is to establish, and it is established, an open data portal. So public bodies, based on their programs, are periodically opening data sets. So far, we have 11,600 data sets published there, something like company register, real estate register, and so on. But of course, there is a need of more and more publication. We can't monitor that, and we're not doing it. But it's also based on political will so far, because there is not a clear obligation, let's open this data or that data. But still, there is a trend, and there is an expanding number of data sets published.
Yeah, I'd have a very brief question, which is related to the comparability of data over years. So probably a question to those who have done it a couple of times. Did it happen to you that you changed the methodology or the things that you were measuring because you found out during time that, either the law has changed or things came up in the legislation that weren't there before, or if it were more subjective parts, you thought, okay, 10 years ago, participation wasn't an issue, so we weren't measuring it, and now it's something, and maybe in 5 years, I don't know, the use of AI or algorithms in public administration will be something that we all want to measure. So how you deal, or how did you deal with this type of issue, that all these things that we want to measure kind of change over time, if any of you have dealt with that?
Michal, did you hear? Do you want to take that?
Yeah, maybe I can start. Of course, we have to somehow adjust the methodology every year because there are some modern trends and development, and some indicators are not so relevant anymore. But at the same time, we try to not to change the methodology too much, because also obviously it is also very useful for us to measure trends, So we try to maybe change only at maximum 5% of or 5 indicators, or 5% of indicators, and 95 indicators should be the same or very similar to be able to follow the trends. But there were some indicators which were not more useful anymore. For example, there were some problems with these indicators. For example, we measured a couple of years ago also some indicators related with disclosing of some lists, for example, of people who don't pay the local taxes, who are debtors, and there was some sort of problems with privacy of these people based on some decision of the authorities. So we decided to remove these indicators from the ranking, because we didn't want to, somehow break the rule or privacy of these people. And if it is not good practice, because there is some sort of clash with privacy, obviously we have to remove these indicators from the ranking, because we want to promote good practices and good governance, and not some controversial indicators. So and of course we also sometimes we have to adopt some new indicators. For example, in our last ranking in 2022, we implement also, or we added a new indicator related with open data portals to the ranking, because still more and more municipalities provide this open data portal with databases of their decision makings, or some important information about transportation in the municipality, fines in the municipalities, or dotation or grants, and so on and so on. So we started also measure the level of our quality of these open data sources on municipal websites. So we try to implement also some new trends to the ranking each year, but at the same time we try to be consistent as much as possible to be able to measure the trends as well.
Shortly. Well, we are doing a review every year. We have some examples of changes. For example, let's say 10, 15 years ago, we were thinking, well, not 15, but 14 perhaps, or we were thinking that urban plans and draft urban plans are very important, but we have dropped, for example, the category of general urban plans, because they are not developed very often. So it's not, there is no real picture of every year assessing that. We did the same with public procurement. We did have more detailed checklist on that, but now it's in a central register. So now we have more general question on that. But I do understand, and I think your point is that it's important sometimes to think on a policy-making level, so to say, from our side, the civil society, which kind of data and information and publication is more important. But perhaps this could be done also by ad hoc monitoring surveys, which is also an option. I'm just thinking on that, because anyway, there is a lot of capacity put in such a general exercise, and yeah, it's really so. Yeah, I get your point about people involved, there's also money involved, resources, time, and so on. So we can't do everything.
We'll have to close soon, and apologies because we didn't ask you questions for some time, but I won't have a chance to ask Michal after this, so I still have two very practical questions to you. How many people work on your transparency audit usually? Wait, what was the other one? Do you remember how difficult it was to set up your website, or how expensive it was?
Yeah, I think these practical questions are quite important one for the NGOs as well, of course. Actually, it is quite demanding right now, because when we started with the rankings, you know, the number of indicators was lower, and also there were no so many sub-indicators. So we still, you know, innovate the rankings. But the problematic side of this is that it is still more and more demanding. So the result was that we are not able to publish the municipal transparency ranking each 2 years as it was before. And now we publish it only once during the election cycle. So it means every 4 years, because otherwise it is not possible to do that in our capacities, you know, because we are not a big NGO. So it is some sort of compromise. The ranking is, you know, more developed, more high quality, or more deep dive in the transparency reality of transparency in municipalities. But at the same time, we are not able to do that so frequently. So in reality, maybe like 3 experts, internal experts from TI, work on the ranking for 3 months, and also some interns, maybe 2 or 3 of them. So from this perspective, we need like 3 months of 3 people and some internal or some external help as well. So from this perspective, it is quite demanding, I would say, if you have to provide some other activities as well. And in terms of expenses, now it is not very expensive, because the portal is, you know, programmed. So we only update the database, so it is quite cheap. It costs only a couple of hundreds euros every time. So it is really cheap from this perspective, because it's already programmed with all these features, you know, analytical features and so on and so on. But maybe in the beginning phase, it was a couple of thousand euros, you know, to program the portal. I don't remember the exact amount, but I would say that it is completely affordable from the average grant, you know, which are available for NGOs on this topic.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Unless anybody has any more questions, then I thank you all very much for the participation. I hope we'll meet most of you tomorrow when we continue with more participatory cases. And yes, and I hope we can all continue with our international guests our discussion today. Okay, thank you very much, and have a nice evening.